Bom dia, everybody. BD. My name is David Mihal. I'm a software engineer. I live here in Lisbon. I was one of the organizers of this event, so awesome to see you guys all here in Lisbon. I've had a blast so far. Hope you guys have had fun too. And today, well, first of all, there's a little change of schedule. If you're looking for the talk about Offchain City, I'm going to get to that in the end, but the main thing I'm going to talk about is a website that I built. Well, I'm going to start with a website I built called cryptofees.info. Any of you guys know crypto fees? Couple people. Any of you guys ever send crypto fees to a friend that's like interested in investing in shitcoins? That's a way of, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know the site, this is the site that I'm talking about. So it's called cryptofees.info. It's a super simple site. Basically what it is it's a list of crypto projects ranked by fee revenue. I'll give a little backstory on it. I made this site back in the heart of DeFi summer. I saw this tweet from Hayden Adams of Uniswap, where he was like, check out, here's the, Ethereum is making $600,000 a day. Bitcoin's making $400,000 a day. And Uniswap is making $60,000 a day. That's like a lot. And then all these other chains are making less than a bunch of hot dogs. And I thought that was, I'd never seen someone comparing applications against layer one chains, but there's really no reason you can't. So I thought it was a great metric. I made a really simple site like this just for myself. It's crazy. It doesn't even look that different than now. It looks a little nicer. Like a month after I made it, I shared it for the first time. I didn't think anyone would care, but the site started being shared a ton, getting a ton of views. People were sharing it on Twitter, using it in Twitter arguments. Here's one of my favorite exchanges. Mark Cuban of the Dallas Mavericks posted it in response to the founder of a different crypto project. So the site was getting a ton of attention. I started building other info sites to show other metrics. This one's openorgs.info, which shows DAO treasuries, L2 fees with my friends at L2Beat that shows the cost of using layer 2s. Money Movers shows value settled. So I started making all these sites, and I noticed that these sites were kind of part of a bigger ecosystem of info sites, of sites that were providing important data to the community. I'll show a little plug for some other sites that I'm a fan of. On the left here, we got DeFi Llama. And you guys know DeFi Llama? They're a site that shows total value locked in DeFi protocols. And on the right is L2Beat. I've got a bunch of my friends from L2Beat. Where are you guys? Either way, L2Beat shows data about Ethereum layer 2s. The main metric they show is value locked, but it also shows stuff like the trust, what trust assumptions are built into these protocols, how can you exit and stuff. But one similarity between these sites, between all my sites, they're all completely open source, so anybody can look at where the data is coming from. They can fork and make their own site, and none of them are monetized. I've talked to again the creators of both these sites, and funding sites like this is a tough problem because, well, first of all, it's easy to bump into conflicts of interest when you're monetizing data, especially data that's like financial data. Here's one example. I don't know if you guys saw this. This was from CoinMarketCap. Shortly after they got acquired by Binance, people noticed that all of a sudden BNB was the top DeFi coin. Seemed like there was a little conflict of interest there. This only lasted for like a week or so, but I think it's one example of how, it's hard to monetize these sites without, when people pay you for something, they want something in return. So this is a bit of a challenge to have good, trustworthy data, because this data is a public good. People are using, especially in crypto, people are using data to make investment decisions. They're using it to decide, where they feel comfortable keeping their money, right? Like L2Beat tells you, do I feel comfortable putting my life savings on, these roll-ups? DeFi Pulse might, or sorry, L2, DeFi Pulse or L2, DeFi Llama might tell you, oh, do I feel comfortable using this DeFi protocol? Or are other people putting their money in it? So yeah, it's a public good, and public goods can be, hard to monetize, hard to scale, but that's what we're good at in crypto is handling public goods. So today I want to announce the next step of this project, which is the launch of a DAO called CryptoStats. And here's the kind of the goal of it. The goal of CryptoStats is to be one neutral source of truth for crypto metrics that everybody can use and that is owned and managed by the community. To give a kind of an overview of how these sites work, how data sites work, we can kind of break it down into these 4 layers. The first one is obviously the blockchains where the actual activity happens. So you have the blockchains themselves, like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Polygon, just some examples, and the applications that are running on those blockchains. So that's where activity happens. The next step is like the indexing layer. And so that's taking kind of the actual activity and parsing it, kind of running the infrastructure to take all these data points and create some aggregate numbers. I put the graph protocol here. I made them nice and big because, on crypto fees, crypto stats, like we use graph protocols for so many of our metrics. It's an amazing resource. And it's the graph protocol itself is or aims to be a trustless, decentralized protocol for indexing data. But there's also centralized sources, centralized indexers like Coinmetrics. And then the next column is where we come in, is the normalization stage. And this is where, I don't think there's a ton of activity, a ton of other projects that are addressing the need to take data from a lot of different sources, normalize them, take the most trustworthy, accurate data, and provide it. Because, of course, the next step is to provide data to the presentation layer, to provide it to sites like CryptoFees, OpenOrgs, and others. And the goal of CryptoStats is to kind of be the Wikipedia for data. If you think of Wikipedia, Wikipedia is this source of truth about the world. You can search for anything, and there's like a great Wikipedia article that explains it. And anyone can go in, if they see a mistake, they can go in, make their contribution, kind of make the world a better place by updating that data. With CryptoStats, we want to do the same thing of allowing anybody to kind of come in and make their contribution to data being available to all. This is an example of this is a mock-up of the site that we're working on. This was made by our UX designer, Mike. He's doing an awesome job. This looks a little bit like Remix. You guys probably know Remix is the website that lets anybody go in and create their own smart contracts in their browser. We're aiming to do something simpler. Anybody can go in and create an adapter in their browser. Adapter is just a little bit of JavaScript code that lets you pull data from subgraphs, from on-chain, from any data source, normalize it, and make that data available. So the next step, of course, is if you're making a change, if you're kind of asserting what you think the correct data is, someone needs to approve that change. And that's where this DAO is going to come in. I'll give a little bit of context on how the DAO will work at a technical level. We're just going to have an on-chain registry of adapters by IPFS hash. So the idea is if I go in and there's a new DeFi protocol that I think should be listed, I can create an adapter. I can submit it to the DAO that this adapter should be added to the registry. And if the DAO votes through whatever governance mechanism it chooses, then that adapter can get included. And the DAO can support any number of types of metrics. So, I included fee revenue because that's like the one that's gotten the most traction on my sites at least. But we can look at treasury size, like what we do on OpenOrgs, total value locked, any metric that the community finds valuable. We can create a list, create adapters for it, and make them available to all. And there's a ton of demand to get good, trustworthy data. I put Bloomberg up here because Bloomberg's actually been pulling crypto fees data for like 9 months or something like that. But I'm talking to a number of other projects that are interested in making new sites to use data. So one of them is the Bankless DAO. I'm sure a lot of people here know Bankless, but Bankless DAO is looking to build their own kind of stats and metrics site. So we're looking to provide them data. Crypto Testers is another great media site for crypto information. And this last one I think is super cool. This is Thales, I think, or Thales, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's a DeFi project that's part of the Synthetics ecosystem. I think they're providing binary options. And the team has kind of reached out that they're interested in using some of our data to be the source of truth for their options. So I think this is really cool because now the data is coming full circle, that not only do we kind of index, normalize, aggregate this data, it can get fed back in as an oracle right back into on-chain applications. Now, one thing that sets us apart, I think, from other projects doing data, providing data, is that the goal is data should always be free. Now, I think this aligns a lot with the ethos of the open source community and the crypto community that, software should be free. It doesn't cost anything. So I have a quote here, quote from Richard Stallman, that, it doesn't cost anything to copy and share software. There's no cost at all. So why are people selling software? That was a pretty controversial idea for a long time. Now, our whole industry is built on open source software. And I think the same thing's true for open data. Like, it doesn't cost anything for me to share data with another person. So it should be open and free. But that leads us to the problem of, if the data is going to be open and free, how do we fund it, right? We want to pay developers to build adapters. We want to pay data analysts to come up with the metrics. We even want to pay websites to show the data. The crypto community has already done an awesome job at finding ways of funding open source software and public goods. Gitcoin is like the obvious example of a project that does work to fund public goods. But I think CryptoStats is positioned in a way that there's some unique things we can offer that can provide additional revenue streams for this DAO. So these are some of the ideas I have. We're going to launch this DAO soon, and first thing is I'm going to propose these two revenue streams. First one is a sponsorship model. Now, sponsorship is a really great tried and true method of funding public goods. One example is this event here. Events like this are a public good. We put these events on so everybody can come, have a good time, like support the ecosystem. But they're only possible with support of all the great sponsors that are in this other room, companies like The Graph and 1inch and whatnot. So we can apply that same model to DAOs. And one great way, I think, to format sponsorship is, if you're sponsoring over time, why not do payment over time using what is basically a streaming auction? I know Fran from Superfluid was talking about streaming auctions this morning. So here's an example of how we would do a streaming auction. You let people come in, place bids on how much they want to pay per second, and the top number of bids, those get activated, and money just gets streamed from the sponsor into the treasury. If you want to see an example of how a streaming auction like this will work, you can actually check out the live stream for this event. We're using a streaming auction to add a sponsorship to the bottom corner of the live stream. So if you want to check that out, that's at stream.liscon.org. But coming back to this, so the idea is we can stream money from sponsors into the treasury, and then we can even have the websites that are presenting the data, if they can say, oh, we're going to take the current sponsors, display them on the website, and then turn around and make a proposal to the DAO and request that they get paid for promoting these sponsors. And so now we not only can kind of fund the CryptoStats treasury, but we can use this model to pay for sites like crypto fees, like Bankless. Any site that thinks they have a cool way of presenting this data, they can find a way of funding it and making that site sustainable. And this is the other idea that I think is really cool for how this DAO can monetize itself is an index token. Index tokens, a number of DAOs have already used to earn revenue. Like the Bankless DAO created the BED token. We have some really cool data here, about fees of different protocols. Imagine if you could buy an index of crypto fees, buying tokens that are weighted by how much are people paying to use them. I've actually had a number of people request a token like that. So I think that's another thing we could offer. So that's basically it for CryptoStats. The only thing we have left is I need help from all of you guys. If anyone's a developer, a data person, and you want to get involved, the easiest way is to join our Discord. You can scan this QR code or go to cryptostats.community/Discord, or just reach out to me directly. I'm D Mihal on Twitter and on Telegram. And that's basically it on crypto stats. Before I run, I'm going to do one quick plug for the other project I'm involved with. Come on up here. If any of you guys are interested in moving to Portugal, I'm working with a project called Offchain City. I'm going to let Gonzalo say just one quick word about it. This is my partner, Gonzalo.
Hey. Hey, everyone. So if you are interested in real estate with crypto exposure here in Portugal, we are launching a fund before the end of the year, run as a DAO. We only have 60 spots, primarily for anyone who's interested in Golden Visa, European passports. If you're not interested in that, we'll have another one onboarding next year. Offchain.city. Otherwise, there's a Q&A happening starting now and in about 5 minutes, just outside here in the lobby area. Is that it?
Thanks. And thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference here, and I'll see you guys all at the after party.
Thank you. Thank you.